Hi, and welcome to English learners in the third grade. Meet Bill Watson, who teaches third grade in El Centro. Since his school is so close to the border, many of Bill's students are new immigrants to the United States. They are ready to learn and enthusiastic about his class, but the language issue really slows them down. Bill likes to use project-based learning because the focus on group work and a real-world problem or challenge gives his students authentic reasons to use language frequently. Bill likes to start the school year with the project Our Regional Museum. Having hands-on learning allows students like Alicia demonstrate her understanding with her actions as well as words. Bill is not bilingual, but he knows enough about how people learn a new language to know that often students need a silent period where they listen and absorb before they are able to produce words in the new language. His students will use conversational language before they're able to discuss more academic concepts. But that doesn't mean Bill has to wait to introduce complex ideas. Instead, he tries to present them in multimodal ways, so students have multiple access points depending on their skill levels. For instance, our regional museum project starts with video clips that show a variety of scenes from local history, including geographical features, native plants and animals, first inhabitants, later settlers, and current populations. Right away, all of Bill's students are engaged by the footage, and his talk about change over time is easily understandable. Bill is also aware of the negative effects of the affective filter, inhibiting students like Marisol from trying new words because she worries about making a mistake and embarrassing herself. Luckily, in Bill's class, there's lots of new vocabulary for all of the students, so that helps level the playing field a little. Bill provides vocabulary lists with visual diagrams to help students remember key terms specific to their study. Bill knows that students who are learning English really thrive when language is used in context, so he makes every effort to use visuals or real items when describing and demonstrating display techniques, like making labeled collages. Students like Danny seem to appreciate the many opportunities for students to talk and practice their language skills. Bill attended a professional development workshop in specially designed academic instruction in English, or SDAIE, techniques, and has found that they work well with all of his students, not just as English learners. One of his favorite SDAIE techniques works well for students like Yvonne and Marietta. Working in pairs to discuss new learning before they share with the rest of the class seems to really help them participate more fully in the coursework. It's a technique called Think, Pair, Share, and it reminds Bill to provide thinking time before pairing students to share with each other and then share with the class. English learners like Marion need that extra thinking time because she's translating in her head. She was an excellent student when she lived in Mexico City and finds it very frustrating to struggle to communicate now that she lives in California. Bill remembers how he felt when he was in Italy last summer using his phrase book and smartphone to try and find a certain cafe in Venice. Keeping that experience in his mind helps him to be supportive and encouraging. He doesn't want to reduce the quality of learning Marion receives, but he knows he needs to scaffold the content until she's ready to do it on her own. The Our Regional Museum project has a history component that can be particularly challenging for his English learners because the changes in populations over time can seem abstract, and they're harder to illustrate than the concrete components like plants and animals. Having students research housing types from a time period that interests them and then present that in their groups seems to create the connection students like Mario need. It turns out that Mario's grandmother says that his ancestors lived in cliff dwellings in Arizona, and the pictures that Mario brought to class of those dwellings were a big hit and worth 1,000 words. Bill uses the Common Core Standards and the English Language Development Standards as a starting point for his curriculum planning. He finds that reading the standards helps his focus on the skills his students need. He also actively asks his students about what they want to know and need help to understand. Having them direct their own learning facilitates student buy-in and active participation. Thanks for watching.